Thanks.
Yeah,
Hi,
hello,
everyone.
everybody.
Thanks, Hellomyyoga, and thanks everyone who's here. It's early morning for us, so we're very fresh. I'm sure you guys are all very tired. We're going to talk about things that are really not our business necessarily, and only admin, but sort of a general a general presentation about the kinds of things that yoga teachers should deal with that don't have to deal with teaching yoga, all the other things that are introduce ourselves a little bit more.
Yeah. Alex, we love teaching and we love entrepreneurship. We've taught music, languages, math, science, gymnastics, and for the past 10 years, we've been on a mission to empower other teachers. A while ago, we co-founded an online yoga network that serves hundreds of thousands of teachers around the world. And we're also the people behind Ubindi, and app instructors to run their business teaching fitness, yoga, music, dance, languages, cooking, and even computer programming.
So what we're presenting here is sort of a condensed version of a course that we put on Udemy for any kind of teachers. Ubindi is currently used mostly by yoga teachers, but it's actually a platform for like fitness teachers and dance teachers and any kind of teacher. But we'll talk about maybe the most important thing, which is sort of as a teacher, especially if you're doing your own thing, you're teaching your own classes online, you're not working for somebody else. We'll talk about how to make admin and sort of business related things easy and smooth. We'll talk about how to set prices for classes and passes and memberships and different things. And then we'll get into marketing. By this time, maybe our time will come to a close, but if we're fast, we'll get there. And there are two kinds of marketing. There's internal marketing and external marketing. Okay, so this is for any yoga teacher, but especially the ones who are doing their own thing and are maybe starting to teach online, or they've been teaching online for a while. You can be a total beginner, or you've maybe been teaching for a while. Hopefully you'll still get something out of what we have to say. All right. So teaching is amazing, and teaching yoga especially. You really help people. You help them to grow physically, spiritually, and in the process, you grow yourself. And it's just all so wonderful. But when you started teaching yoga, nobody told you that you would have to deal with all sorts of other things outside of or off the yoga mat. And here we go. So as a yoga teacher, you really have two jobs.
So being a teacher is one job, but being an independent teacher means that you actually have two jobs. The independent bit means that you are an entrepreneur, which is another job. And so to succeed, you'll have to do a bit more than just teach. In the past, maybe the school or studio or gym took care of everything like pricing, collecting money, marketing, promotions, and all these technical things. And now if you're teaching on your own, it's all on your plate. So if you're new to all this, running a business all by yourself isn't always easy. There can be ups and downs, but it's really not that difficult, especially if you have the right mindset. So to begin with, let's go over some basic ideas that will get you into that mindset and make you feel empowered.
I have to skip a bunch of slides. Sorry about this. Hope you enjoy the animation. Okay.
So number one, you're an entrepreneur. And this is the most important idea to come to grips with as an independent teacher. You should accept the fact that you are an entrepreneur who is running a business. And once you do that, the whole world will look completely different to you because entrepreneurs have like special glasses on their faces that they can't remove. And everywhere they look, they see opportunities. So for example, let's say you're a yoga teacher who has an entrepreneurial mindset, and imagine that you're riding on a bus. So as the bus drives past a park with a nice flat field, you think to yourself, That field can probably handle 40 people, and I could run yoga classes there in the summer. And then just a few blocks later, your bus passes an assisted living center for seniors. And there you think, well, maybe they would love to have somebody in there to run yoga classes for them. So you write down the name and plan to drop in the next day and talk to the manager. So this is just to show you that there are infinite opportunities out there. And of course, everyone is different and doing things differently. The most important takeaway here is that when you see yourself as an entrepreneur, opportunities will present themselves to you naturally, and it will help you tremendously in all sorts of ways. It will give you new ideas for how to teach, how to get the word out, how to do your marketing, and you'll be on the lookout for opportunities and possibilities to adapt your teaching and respond to new kinds of demands of situation. So the takeaway here is really don't just accept it, but fully embrace the fact that you are an entrepreneur.
Okay, so the second big idea in this mindset topic, which is especially relevant for yoga teachers, is that money is not a bad thing. So you want to get comfortable with the idea that money is okay. And if you already believe this, then that's great. But a lot of teachers, especially yoga teachers, almost feel guilty for earning money from teaching yoga. And it's because of the spiritual background of the practice and all that kind of stuff. But if you want to be sustainable and not burn out and keep teaching, you will have to earn a living and get some reward. And it's not just important for you to be able to eat and pay rent and all these other things, but it's important for your own happiness and sense of self-worth. So if you don't want to make tons of money and that's not part of your dream, that's okay. But you should be happy to have a business and make ends meet and be able to save a little bit. And it's because teaching has to be rewarding for you, not just on the yoga mat, but financially as well. Otherwise, it's not going to be a long-term thing. So this means that by definition, the revenue you earn has to be greater than your expenses, or you don't have a business. So maybe it sounds silly, but this is very important. In our experience, a lot of teachers need to get into the mindset of thinking that money is not evil.
Okay, the third principle is that everybody has some hurdles in the mind that they struggle with and that they have to overcome. But in the context of being an entrepreneur, we really need to talk about these problems. Entrepreneurs are people who do stuff, and to be able to do stuff often requires overcoming doubts and fears. So one of these patterns is what we call imposter syndrome. And it's a psychological pattern where people doubt their skills and talents and their accomplishments, and they have this persistent fear that they're going to be exposed as a fraud because they don't know what they're doing. So maybe if you think about the first time you taught class, you thought, okay, this is pretty scary. But as you went along and you got more experience, things got easier. So you know that with practice and some experience, this feeling that you're not good enough goes away. Well, it's the same when you're running a business and when you're an entrepreneur. Everybody has this imposter syndrome to some extent, and it's normal, especially in the beginning. So just accept it and do what you have to do. The sense of being an imposter will diminish and possibly even disappear altogether. Another big obstacle when it comes to doing things is found in comparison. I don't know if you've ever heard the expression, comparison is the thief of joy. Well, now that there's social media everywhere, this has never been more true. And if you compare yourself with another teacher who maybe has a huge following or makes a ton of money, you can get very discouraged. It can make you feel like you're not doing good enough and that you'll never succeed. But here's one thing to remember. Everyone started out small with no clients and no money. So if you look at other people to get inspired, that's great. But if that leads you to putting yourself down, then comparing yourself to other people is really unhelpful. So our advice is for you to focus on yourself, on what you have, and to grow at your own pace. And be sure to celebrate your successes along the way.
Okay, so the third and maybe final pitfall when it comes to mindset is the idea of perfection. And it's the enemy of the good. That's a famous expression. When you start a project and you try to make it perfect in every possible way, it will actually be almost impossible to get the project done. If you overthink things, you can even be completely paralyzed, so you never actually get started. So when you're launching your business as an independent yoga teacher, you should aim for things to be good, but not perfect. The real danger isn't that things will take a long time or you'll never get started, that kind of thing. The real danger is that as an entrepreneur, you will be trying different things. Let's say trying to get new clients on Facebook or different strategies for getting students to come or sign up for things and stuff like that. And most of the things that you will try will not work. That's just how it is. That's the life of the entrepreneur. And so a lot of the things that you do as an entrepreneur are experiments. So if you put huge amounts of time and maybe investment into some new marketing strategy, it could all turn out to be for nothing. So trying to be perfect. So for example, if you try to make a flyer about your yoga classes and you're going to hang the flyer in some stores nearby and that kind of thing, you could hire a graphic designer and agonize over every word in the flyer and, you know, spend many hours and a lot of money. And then in the end, you'll find that, well, you don't actually get any new students that way. And so it'll all be for nothing. So our advice is try as best you can to not go for perfection, but do things in a way that they're good enough. And by good, you know, we mean good. We don't mean sloppy or bad, but keep an eye out for this idea that you want to perfect everything. So that's it. I mean, basically, you're an entrepreneur. You will see opportunities everywhere, and you just go and do it. Doubt can only be removed by action. All right. Sorry, guys.
That's our summary.
Okay.
So now we'll talk a little bit about streamlining your business. And okay, so now you've embraced the fact that you're an entrepreneur and you have a lot of stuff to do and deal with besides just showing up for classes and teaching. So you have admin, accounting, marketing, and it's crucial that you set things up in a way that you can be efficient, because you want all your energy, as much as your energy as possible, to go on teaching, looking after your students and growing your business. So you don't have to spend all your time running around doing boring things that could be made easier and more automatic for you.
So here's kind of a silly example. Imagine that you're wanting to do some kind of business. I'm not teaching yoga, but something weird. Let's say that you want to sell flowers in a market, and you can find those flowers up on a mountain. So what you could do is just get started. Start walking towards the mountain. Will take quite some time. And then when you're up there, you can pick some flowers and put them in your backpack. But most of the time, running your business is actually walking to and from the mountain. And you can't fit many flowers in your backpack. So when you get to the market and you sell your flowers, you'll be sold out very quickly. So it's kind of silly to do things that way. And this example is maybe silly, but I hope you get the idea. So what you could do is, where are we? Here, is you could rent a car. And the car is a powerful tool that gets you up the mountain very quickly and allows you to transport lots of flowers back to town. So you'd be kind of crazy trying to do this flower selling business without a car. And there's similar tools for yoga teachers. that are essential, that can really streamline things for you in your teaching business, so you can focus on teaching and growing your business instead of tedious admin solutions. So some of these are must-haves, some of them are nice-to-haves, and some of them are kind of useless. And we'll tell you first about what we think is a must-have tool for your business.
So the first tool is an admin and booking system. We think it's a must-have for any teacher to have a sensible admin system that can handle all the stuff like booking, payments, taking attendance, tracking passes, memberships, and your client management. So before, maybe people were using pen and paper and Excel, and if you've done that, you know that it's a very hard way of doing things. Without having that booking system in place, you will lose track of things. You'll have to run around and ask people to pay you. You won't remember who paid you, and everything will just become very complicated. So when you're looking at choosing an admin system, your initial impulse might be to go for the one that has as many features as possible. And that probably won't work because it will do too many things. You will have to spend a lot of time trying to learn the tool. Your students might have a hard time learning to use that tool as well. And then there's also the question of how much it costs. The more features a big tool has, usually the more expensive they are. So you want to keep that in mind. Of course, we would recommend Ubindi, and not just because we've built it and it's our business, but because it's specifically designed for entrepreneurs, yoga teachers who are doing their own business. And it's very easy to use for you and for your clients. And as far as we know, it's the least expensive admin solution out there. There's other products out there, so you should definitely do your research and your evaluation, but make sure that you're not locked into something, and make sure that you read reviews on review websites, and that you take the time to look around before you choose what works for you. You know, if you choose a system that doesn't have the right features for you, then
Go on.
sorry, you're interrupting me. Then you might end up having to do a lot of work around the system to try and make it work for yourself. So choosing that admin and booking system is a really important part of what you're going to be doing.
So most booking systems have payments built in, and that's certainly true about Ubindi, but basically all of them. And having an easy and automatic way for people to pay you is really crucial when it comes to streamlining your business. It saves you huge amounts of time, and it also takes away this often awkward hassle where you have to chase people up for payment, where they still owe you some money and you have to ask them to pay you and all that stuff. And also accounting is basically done for you in a software solution. But most importantly, when everything is going through a payment system, you will earn more money. That's the bottom line, even after you pay credit card fees or transaction fees. And it's because things don't fall through the cracks. So you're always sure that everybody paid you for class. Sorry, running the animation. Right. You can also offer things that you can't do when you don't have a payment system, like memberships, where people pay every month automatically. It gets taken out of their bank account. Or you can offer passes, like class passes, where people can buy a package to get 10 classes with you for some discount and these sorts of things. And with the payment system, you can sell those things, and they will vastly improve your bottom line.
Mm-hmm.
And so we have
I'm
some.
gonna keep the dog.
Okay. If you're teaching online, then of course another must-have is that you should have some video chat software. There are many solutions out there. We're talking right now today on Zoom, and most teachers are using Zoom out there, and we recommend that you also use it. And it's not because it's such a great platform or easy to use, although it is a pretty good platform and it's very robust. The reason that you should use Zoom and not something else is that most of your clients will know it and will not have any technical challenges getting into the Zoom room and understanding how Zoom works. So keep it simple and do what everyone is familiar with and use Zoom. Okay, then there are some other tools that we don't think are essential, but they can be very nice to have. There's not much more that you need except for an admin system and if you're teaching online to use Zoom. But here's some nice to haves that are very useful. What's going on with the animation? Here we go.
So a website, you don't need it, as we said, we don't need it straight away when you start, but your booking and admin system will give you a page on the internet when you can send people. But if you want, you can have your own website to really show potential clients who you are and what you do, and really kind of showcase yourself. The main thing about building a website to keep in mind is that you probably won't need to hire a very expensive programmer to build you a custom website for a lot of money, but you can use one of the newer drag and drop website builders to create your beautiful website yourself. And there's dozens of amazing products that you can try, like Wix, Weebly, WordPress. There's lots of different options.
Yeah, I mean, so you guys are in India, and India is pretty advanced with tech. Maybe all of you have already made yourself a website. If not, it's not scary. It's super easy. There are tons of tools and they cost almost nothing. And so we kind of recommend that independent teachers should have their own website. Is that me talking?
Yeah, you can go ahead.
Okay, so kind of nice to have, but maybe not so important as a website, is to have a tool that helps you create and send newsletters in the form of emails. So, MailChimp and things like that. Again, you don't need this, but it can be nice if you have a substantial list of clients and potential clients where you can send out announcements and things like that. The important thing to keep in mind with these email newsletter tools is that most of them end up in the promotions folder or in the spam folder, unless you really, really know what you're doing. Typically, 20% of people on an email list will ever read an email that comes through one of these newsletter softwares. So it's still useful, but it's not going to do what many people imagine that it will do. Right. So these are the statistics for newsletters, the nice looking ones that have images and all these sorts of things. They tend to get filtered out.
Again, and this goes back to what we were saying before about perfection. You might spend a lot of time making the most beautiful email on one of these tools, but you have to really think about how many people are going to see that email and what, if they're going to take action on that email before you spend maybe 3 days trying to make the most beautiful email.
Okay, so here are some tools that we think are a waste of times. All right. The first one is a logo and branding. In our opinion, these are a total waste of times. We see many teachers who are just starting out trying to go by some brand name, mind, body, something, and their image then is some professionally designed logo and stuff. And this is a big mistake, because as an independent teacher, you are your brand and your logo is your face. The most successful teachers that we see, and we've seen thousands and thousands of yoga teachers over the years, the most successful ones use their name and their face to do their branding. So that's what we recommend too.
Okay, you can go to the next slide.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Oh yeah.
The next tool that you probably don't need or that you should really consider is social media. You don't need to make yourself an account on every social media platform out there and end up spending a lot of time on there. For some teachers, some platforms can work well sometimes, but everybody's different. And the main thing is that you should try to measure the actual effect that the time you spend posting on social media has on your business. And when we say measuring, it doesn't mean get how many followers you're getting or how many likes are you getting, but try to estimate in a certain period of time how many clients come to you because they found you on social media. And when you do this exercise, you will probably be shocked, because you will find that there's hardly anybody, if anybody at all, coming to you from social media, and it might take up a whole amount of time for you to manage these accounts. And another thing to keep in mind is that social media is really not reliable when communicating with your clients. You're at the mercy of the algorithms, basically.
Right. So you post something on Facebook and you think all of your followers of your Facebook page will see what you've posted. And that is not true. So unless you spend money on Facebook for ads and stuff, it's like 2% of your followers will see anything you post there. So just be aware. We're kind of skeptical of social media, as you can probably tell. Where are we? Okay, so while we're talking about some other technology tools, a lot of people who go teaching online or thinking about teaching online think that they have to invest a lot of things into like cameras and microphones and lighting and stuff like that. And these generally are not necessary at all. So the camera on your mobile phone is much, much more powerful than what Zoom can stream over the internet. So you don't need a fancy camera. And for lighting, just having a room with maybe some sunlight coming in is perfectly fine. You don't need to invest in fancy lights. For microphones, again, the sound quality coming through a computer and stuff is not like you would get in a big cinema or something. So a small little microphone that you can attach to your shirt or something will give you very high quality, and it's very inexpensive. So don't invest a lot in fancy equipment. Generally, keep it simple.
So in fact, if you've been teaching for a while and you're thinking about what we're telling you and you're thinking, okay, I'm probably using too many tools, we recommend doing an audit and really looking into how much time am I spending into this tool, how much money is it working for me, and be ruthless. If you think it doesn't work, stop using it, stop spending time. So that's our advice. Don't spend too much time in tools that may or may not be working for you. You really have to think about whether it's working.
But so if you do have some tools like an admin system and other things, the important thing is that you use them. And it doesn't mean just sometimes, but all the time, especially when it comes to the admin system. Because when you're a yoga teacher, you are not just like a shop where somebody comes in and buys some bread or something. You have a relationship with your clients, and oftentimes you're friends with them. But that means that they will be asking you for favors and special exceptions and special situations. And this is generally a bad idea and a dangerous thing for yoga teachers. So our number one tip here is don't bend over backwards for every one of your clients. I don't know if in India you use this expression, to bend over backwards, but it means don't give people the idea that they can ask you for special favors and special exceptions, because then your beautiful, streamlined, smooth admin system is not very useful. If we go back to this idea where you created a business to sell flowers, so you might rent a car to help you run that business, but you would be crazy if you drove the car up to the mountain, but then you put the flowers in your backpack and you walk back to town. And then you sold very few flowers, and then you have to walk back up to the mountain to get the car, and then you have to drive the car back, and you've paid for the car. So, I mean,
so just to say, if the car is your tool, that your system that you've decided to use, and you're investing time and money in there, then use the car. So similarly, if you have an admin and booking system, use the admin and booking system. Don't do half of it, because you will make your life even harder.
So like typically you will have people who say that maybe they don't want to pay you with a credit card. They would rather pay you with PayPal or some other method, or they'll say, I don't want to register on your booking system. I just want to come to class and then I'll pay you. And then of course they'll just show up and maybe they won't pay you then. I'll say, oh, can I pay you later? And then your entire admin system is hardly working for you at this point because you're not sure of who's paid and what's going on and stuff like that. So you might feel pressure to accommodate people because they are your friends and you really care about them. But they are your students and you're the teacher. And so generally they will do what you ask them. If you say, this is my system, please use it, they will use it. And if one person sort of gets you to do something special, other people will get the idea that they can ask you the same sort of thing, and very quickly you will have chaos. So be on the lookout for that.
So yeah, a quick summary of this part of the talk. Use tools to eliminate tedious work. The essentials that you need are an admin and booking system where you can take payments and Zoom to teach online. A nice to have is a website and a newsletter. Be very careful of tools that might be wasting your time and money. Keep things simple as you can. And use your tools. Don't make exceptions, use your tools.
Right. Hopefully you're still there and watching and listening.
I don't know if we need to read the questions.
Yeah. Let's read some
Or the
chat
chat.
questions.
Yeah.
Body microphone we talked about. Okay.
Oh, thank you.
Thanks. Great.
Oh,
Nice to see everyone
nice
here.
to see that you're enjoying it.
Yeah,
Good.
sorry we're not paying attention to the chat. We're reading off notes and running this crazy animation. Thank you, everyone.
Okay, I'm good. The dog's out
Yeah.
again. How are you guys?
Okay, so switching gears, we have collected a lot of insight about pricing, especially in the yoga world, and that means how much do you charge for your classes and your class passes and your memberships and things like that.
And the examples that we're going to be talking about are in dollars, so we
apologies for that.
But it's mostly about a mindset and kind of doing an equation, and I think that can apply to any currency basically.
So pricing is crucial in any business, and a lot of yoga teachers severely underprice their offerings. And it's partly because yoga teachers are just wonderful people and they're not greedy. But it's also because often they come from a mindset of scarcity where they think if things are too expensive, they will not get clients or they will lose clients. But that's kind of all wrong, and we'll go into it now. All right, scarcity. Okay. So again, as we said in the beginning, your teaching business has to be sustainable. So you have to earn a profit, and it has to be rewarding for you. So the idea of doing anything for any customer and making your prices ridiculously cheap just so that you can get a customer, those kinds of customers are typically not good students. They will maybe come to your first class if it's free, and then if you make it really, really cheap, they might come to some other classes, but generally they will not stick with things.
Yeah, and they'll be very difficult to motivate.
They will be very difficult to motivate. So not only will they not be paying you, but you will lose those customers anyway. They're not really interested in what you have to offer. So don't be afraid to really properly evaluate what you should charge for various things.
Okay.
Right, so remember, money is not bad. You're running a business and you're an entrepreneur as we go through this.
So let's talk about pricing for in-person group classes. So your pricing considerations should start with the in-pricing for the face-to-face group classes, because they're the main thing about the yoga teaching business, and how do you decide what to charge for these classes? So you could just look at what other teachers are teaching, are charging, but chances are they're making mistakes, and you don't want to be copying their mistakes, and your situation might be different. Or you could just consider your own needs. So, for example, say that you teach 20 classes a month. You'd like to teach 20 classes a month and earn $2,000. Well, that means that you want to earn $100 per class. So if you estimate that you'll get an average of 10 people per class, it seems straightforward. Charge $10 for a drop-in and you hit your goal.
Sounds great, right? Easy.
The problem is that what you want or what you need is not necessarily what's actually going to happen. So the number of people you see in class will depend on a lot of things, including your pricing.
So concretely, let's imagine you have 40 people in maybe an email list that would potentially like to take yoga classes with you regularly. But how many of these are really, really motivated? And how many are maybe poor, or they can't afford a lot of money? How many of these people will want to come once per week? And how many of them will want to come more often than that? There are other considerations, like maybe you are teaching classes in a room that has limited capacity. Where are my notes? So from your list of 40, maybe you only have 7 students who would pay $10 per class. So if you charge $10 per class and you get 7 people coming, you get $70 per class. It's not quite 100. You can then rethink things and maybe go cheaper. So if you offer very, very inexpensive yoga classes, maybe you'll get 16 people coming. Now you're earning more money. Even though each person is paying less, you're getting more people and you're earning $80 a class. If you go ridiculously cheap, at least in the United States, $3 is doesn't buy you a cup of coffee. You might get 30 people coming to class and earn even more money. So now you're earning $90 per class. But you're really, really stressed. 30 people in a class, that's a lot. And if your room can only handle 20 people, then you're only earning $60 at these cheap prices. So these are the kinds of considerations you should do. But if you think about really going the other way and charging more money for a class, imagine if you can count on 5 serious students who really adore you and your classes and who don't care what it costs really, and you charge them $20 per class. Well, with just those 5 dedicated students, you're now earning what you need to earn, $100 per class. And you still have room for more people in your room if the room is limited. And that's potentially pretty important as you grow your business.
So that's just some hypothetical math. And you probably don't know how each of your students think about your classes and how much they would be willing to pay. Well, the best way to find out is to ask them directly. It's not going to be as uncomfortable as you imagine. And you can even just ask just a couple of people. But the more people you talk to, the clearer things will become. And then it'll be easier for you to decide. Another indirect way to ask people is to price your classes by donation, which you can do on Ubindi. For example, you can set your classes up in a way that has a suggested amount when people book a class. And many teachers actually start off this way, and then they're very surprised to discover that people, in fact, pay more than what the teacher would have thought the class was worth. So donation pricing is a good way to get a feel of what your individual students would pay for your classes. And after doing things like that for a little while, you might even want to switch to a fixed price once you have an idea of how much your students are willing to pay. So there isn't like a set rule or formula, but it's up to you to figure out how much to charge. But don't be afraid of experimenting. Don't be afraid of asking your students, and try to price maybe higher than what you thought you could charge, because you can always go lower and adjust things if that strategy doesn't work. That's usually easier.
Okay, so then there are online group classes, which are a little bit different from in-person classes where you have people in a room. The question is, though, are they really different? So typically you can teach from your house or your bedroom or somewhere, so you have less overhead and fewer expenses. You don't have to travel to go to the classroom or to the yoga studio and that kind of stuff. So you can afford to make things a bit cheaper. But the question is really, should you? It's still face-to-face interaction with you, a live teacher and stuff like that. So if you feel like the quality of your classes isn't quite the same because you can't adjust people or touch them or walk around the room and stuff like that, think again. There are many, many teachers who say that online teaching is working really well, that a lot of students who before were hiding in the back of the class, now everyone has a little monitor and you can see all your students and interact with them. And for students, online classes are really great. Many of them prefer online classes because they're very convenient. There are many people doing yoga today online who would never go to a studio or a gym because they're not comfortable around other people. They feel bad about their bodies or all sorts of reasons. So the online teaching thing is really great. It is a golden new opportunity for yoga teachers because you have no space constraints, and you can teach yoga to people everywhere, not just in your village or your city or even your country, really all around the world. And so our general feeling is, what we see successful teachers doing is they charge exactly the same for online classes than for in-person classes. You should definitely not make online classes be less than half of the cost of an in-person class, is our general feeling. And again, you can ask people. Let me skip through the animations. It has to be sustainable, a long-term kind of thing. And you can just ask people what they're willing to pay, get feedback, try donation-based pricing, the same kind of things that we were talking about for in-person classes.
And now we can talk a little bit about how to price on-demand videos and recording. So teaching virtual classes has the added advantage that you can record them and create a nice video library for your students. There are a lot of people out there who just want to watch and follow along, so you really shouldn't miss that opportunity because it's a really great chance for you to add something extra to your offerings. You can see on-demand videos. There's some content that will just keep giving once you've put in the work. So it's called like evergreen content because you work once and then people can keep buying your videos for a long time. How to price these videos though, because you're not actually there when people watch them, and because there are literally millions of free videos on YouTube and other places, you won't actually be able to charge a lot of money for people to access your videos. But don't make your videos free. Charge something for your videos to set the right expectations. And then as you build up a sizable client base, you can provide, these videos can end up providing a good fraction of your overall income without you having to put a lot of extra time and effort. So you can put like some free teasers on YouTube, for example. Maybe don't put a full class, maybe something like 10-20 minutes so people can get an idea of what your teaching is like. And then they can come and purchase your actual videos. But when you decide on pricing, remember that for your students, the people that come to your classes, your videos are not just any video lost in a sea of videos. They're videos from a teacher that they know and love and that is teaching them exactly what they want in the way they want. So they see your videos as extremely valuable. So specifically, when you're pricing your recorded classes, a good rule is to charge 50% of what you would charge for your live online classes. In addition, you can also add your recorded content to memberships or to bundles, and that adds really a lot of extra value to your offering. And now we can talk about packages.
All right. Okay, packages. What we mean are like bulk class passes or subscriptions or memberships. These things are really, really important for your business. Basically, every business out there, or every bigger business out there, offers bulk deals, and for very good reason. These are very effective in driving revenue and getting people into class. With class passes, you can create expiry dates. So people maybe have 10 credits, but they only have 2 months to use them. So it's a good way to drive people to class, make them come, make them use their credits, which is nice. They're also much easier for you and your students. So instead of paying for a class and then the next time they come to class, they have to pay again, they can just really just click a button or check in somewhere and use their pass or their membership. So they're very convenient for everyone. You also, if you're taking credit cards, passes and memberships will help you with processing fees, because there's always some small percentage plus a fixed amount per transaction. And so when you're selling one class to someone, it might be very cheap, and then that small fixed amount per transaction is like 5% of the whole price. But when you're selling things that cost a little bit more, like a class pass or a membership, then your transaction costs as a fraction go down. Okay, so how to price these things? Well, you want to make them attractive. So you should think about the price of an individual class and put an attractive discount in there. What we see typically working really well is that if you have like a 5-class pass, you give people a 10% discount, or a 10-class pass, a 15 to 20% discount. So, buy 9 and get a 10th one free kind of thing. And it's a good idea to make your passes have an expiry period. So they're only good for a month or 2 months or something like that. You want to talk for a while?
Okay. Now, thinking about pricing memberships and subscriptions, they're usually unlimited deals, meaning that somebody who subscribes to your package there can come and get unlimited access to your classes and to your recordings. So instead of giving people access to only certain parts of your content, you should just try and keep it simple and make one membership that gives them access to everything. Memberships are great because billing is automatic. It's a very great way for you to earn predictable revenue, and it can make a huge difference to how much money you earn.
Yeah, we've seen teachers and studios who create memberships, and their revenue goes up by 50% in just a month. With the same number of classes going on, maybe a little bit more attendance, people showing up for classes, but it can be very dramatic. And so this is going to sound harsh or terrible, but when you have people who are paying you every month, it's great for them when they show up and stuff, but some of them will not show up very much, but they will still keep paying. And you don't really care as a teacher. You, of course, would like people to deepen their yoga practice and all this kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, you got paid. And so it's very nice for revenue. So here's how to price these things. And this is a little bit counterintuitive. For class passes, we want to give people a good discount. But in our experience, for memberships, teachers don't offer enough of a discount. So earlier, we said that teachers tend to underprice their offerings. They make things too cheap. But for memberships, we see a lot of yoga teachers making things too expensive. And I'll explain sort of why. With the membership, you want to consider all your clients. And you will find that you have different kinds of clients. So you have people who come once in a while, once every 2 weeks or even less. And then you have sort of medium students who come once a week, and they're fairly regular. But then you have like superstars, like fanatics. They will come to every class that you're teaching. And these are what we'll call the high students. when you price your memberships, you want to think about the medium students, right? So a lot of teachers make the mistake of calculating, oh, I teach 20 classes a month, each class is $10. So that's, if somebody came to all my classes, they would spend $200. But medium users won't come to every class, right? They'll come to maybe 8 classes in a month. So those people are spending around $80 with you. And again, sorry about dollars, not rupees. This is part of a course we made. So what you should do is not calculate, okay, if people really abuse the membership, they're getting $200 worth of classes, I'll give in a 10% discount, and so you'll have a pass for like $180. Very few people will buy that. Your fanatics will buy that, but nobody else. So you really want to target the medium users in your client list. Yes, your high users will buy this too, and they will save a bit of money, and so you'll lose a little bit of money with the fanatics, but you will convince a lot of the medium users to become a little bit more serious about their yoga, and they will take out a membership with you, and at the end of the day, you will come out well ahead.
Mhm.
Privates.
Okay.
You good.
So figuring out pricing for private classes is a bit more straightforward, actually, because there you have to think, what is an hour of your time worth to you? What are you looking?
I'm looking at the time.
Okay.
How much time we have?
Factor in as well how much time you spend preparing and how much time you have to travel if you're going somewhere to teach. Keep in mind that the people who are taking private classes with you usually probably won't mind paying a bit more because they're well off. And paying a bit more might even make them feel like they're getting something a bit more exclusive. What you can also do is offer semi-privates, so lessons for small groups or for couples, for example. So a common strategy is to think of them as privates, but allow an extra person where you reduce the cost for the second, the third, or the fourth person. So you can also create packages for private classes in which you sell a bundle, which is great. So then people can get like 6 private classes for the price of 5. And remember to always like tell your clients that your students that these packages and that private classes with you are available, because they might actually not be aware of it.
Yeah, so with your packages and passes and subscriptions, you can also create special deals that are temporary and these sorts of things, and that's very important, and that really gets into marketing. And so we'll get out of here. Pricing is critical to your business.
Be careful not to underprice yourself. Try to get feedback from your students. Your online classes are here to stay, and you should really take advantage of that. Your on-demand video library should be cheap, but don't make it free. Passes and memberships are something that you should really do for your business. It will make a difference to your bottom line, and your students will love it.
Okay. 15 minutes. Well, let's see what we can get through. So we have one topic that's really 2 more topics, and it's about marketing. Marketing is a word that for many yoga teachers is an uncomfortable word. They don't like to be spammy and always talk about themselves and hustle and try to get new clients and stuff like that.
But you can reframe that and just think that when you do marketing, you're just educating your clients or your students or potential clients about the services you provide. So if you see marketing as education to help people solve their problems, then it might just reframe it in your mind and make it less distasteful.
Right. So, don't be shy. Of course, you don't want to be spammy and always talk about your yoga classes and stuff like that, and especially not to the wrong people who aren't really interested. But there are many people who will appreciate that you are letting them know that you teach yoga. Like if somebody breaks their leg, yeah, and they are in front of the hospital with a big sign that says hospital, they are not getting angry with the hospital because it does like advertising at the front saying it's a hospital. They're happy to find the hospital and go there to get their broken leg treated. Similarly, many people need yoga for all sorts of reasons. And so, yeah, think of it as a communication where you explain to people what you offer and what you can do for them. And there are two kinds of marketing.
Internal marketing is what you do when you're talking to people that are already your customers or your students. So when you announce them that you have a special workshop or that you have a special discount, that's internal marketing. External marketing is what all the efforts that you do to get new people to hear about you and come to class. So people who've never tried a class with you before.
They have no idea who you are and what you do. And external is much more difficult and also much less important. So yoga teachers are not like any other business. You're not like a taxi or a shop where somebody comes and buys your service or your product and then you never see them again. Most of your customers are repeat customers. When you teach a yoga class, most of the faces you see are faces you've seen before. Very rarely do you see a new face in class. So it's very important to focus on your existing clients when you think about marketing. Where am I with these slides? Here we go. Right. So most of your business is repeat business. So you have to nurture your clients and motivate them to come to class, motivate them to stick with you and deepen their practice. And so you have two goals. You want to make sure that you try at least to convert people who are new into regular students, and then to turn your regular students into fanatics, superstars, like the high group that we were talking about earlier. So people who come once in a while, to really motivate them to really get serious about their yoga and come more and more often.
How to do that?
How to do that?
First is obvious, and it's be a great teacher. And we can't teach you how to be a great teacher. You know how to be a great teacher, but it's a matter of loving your craft, making sure you care about people, and all the stuff that you probably already do very well.
So we want to talk about it, how to be a great teacher. Hopefully you're wondering that every day. But there's a general approach with internal marketing. So you don't have to explain to your students who you are and what you do. You have to motivate and encourage them. And that can be done in sort of general terms. You can appeal to their desire to be. So the competition here is not coming to class and them drinking alcohol, eating pizza, watching television, these sorts of things.
Or just being lazy or busy.
Or being lazy.
So you motivate people, and in that general approach, the competition is not another teacher. The competition is
other things.
Life happening.
Yeah. And so the way to do that is you want to appeal to them with what you think they want. So many people might do some very physical yoga where they want to lose weight. So you can inspire people with language and communications that are along those lines. Oftentimes, motivating people just means reminding them that you exist.
Yeah.
That's really easy, right? You just send out an email once in a while and saying, hey, my schedule this week is like this. On Wednesdays, we're doing something special, something to just remind them that you exist. And then there's some other specific things you can do.
If you see a new student in your class, part of this nurturing experience that they're going to get with you is that you can send them a welcome email and make it about them, like they've come to your class, so they're already curious about you. You can tell them a little bit about you, but mostly you want to know what they expect from the experience with you. Do they have any special circumstances that you should know about? And then you learn about their goals, and then of course let them know how and where to book classes with you. You might also consider giving them an introductory offer, so for the first month of classes with me, I'm going to give you a discount or half off or something. So, you just go the extra mile to make sure that this new student is somebody who wants to come to class with you regularly.
You want to wow them. Yeah. Then there's another category of students, which is sort of the opposite of a new student. It's a student who kind of disappears. And it always happens. And when you notice it, you should find out why. You can reach out to them and say, hey, I haven't seen you in a while. Often it's for some reason like a scheduling conflict, which you can fix. You can tell them about other days that you teach classes, things like that. Or it could be a financial hardship that they have where they can't afford yoga classes, and you can make them a deal, a special deal, that kind of thing.
So of course you don't want to be pushy, and bully people into coming to classes, but try to not let them disappear. Try to learn what's happening and try to learn how you can improve something to maybe make the students stick with you.
Yeah. I think finally in this section, promoting things, not just reminding people that you exist, but running a special deal. Like you can use a holiday and have a special temporary reduction in the class pass price for like 3 weeks. Many people raise prices because of inflation and whatever, and they can use that as an opportunity to say, I will raise prices soon. If you buy your class pass or your membership now, you will have the old price, these sorts of things. So special kinds of promotions work really well when it comes to marketing internally.
And a very, very powerful way to think about marketing is word of mouth. The best way for you to get a new client is through the recommendation of somebody who's already in your class. So a student can bring you a new student who can bring you a new student, and some admin and booking tools will reward that. So for example, on Ubindi there is a referral program where you can offer both the student who is the new one and the referrer a free class when they recommend each other, but
So-
basically they recommend your classes.
So this is kind of now going into external marketing, right? You're getting new clients, but it's really still internal marketing. You're communicating with existing clients that you will reward them and that they should bring new people to your class. And that works really well. It's much easier to do this than to try to attract the attention from some random person on the internet who's never heard of you, who's not looking for you, that kind of thing. So,
and it's a golden opportunity for yoga teachers because you're in a special position where you can ask your existing students to let their friends know. Your existing students will be very happy to do that for you, and not very many businesses can take advantage of referral marketing.
yeah, your students want to support your business because you have a relationship with them. So again, you're very different from some other businesses, and it can really work for you. Okay, so ask them, reward them. Yes. Okay. So internal marketing is the most important kind of marketing for your business. You want
your goal is to motivate people to come to class and build a community. And your new students should be nurtured from the beginning. They have to get this wow experience when they come to class. Make sure you reconnect with clients that have disappeared and promote your packages and specials quite often so people know that they're there, and make sure you leverage word of mouth.
Okay, now external marketing. This is when you are trying to have new students find you, or you find them and you grab them from behind and say, hey, I'm a yoga teacher. Would you like to take classes with me? It's not easy, but it can go into steps. So first, you have to think about how to reach people, how to get them to notice you, and then how to get them to be interested in what you're offering. And then you will have to get them to try, like take a class with you. And then you're in the internal marketing, and you will do your magic, and you will turn them into regular people. So there's a lot of steps when it comes to marketing. So the first question is, how do you get noticed at all?
Well, the secret in there is don't be shy and be creative. You know, you have to remember what we talked about at the beginning about mindset. You're an entrepreneur, you see opportunities everywhere, and that's how you're going to get the word out about what you do. So we can have an example.
Yeah, if let's say you go to some group and it's for because you're learning French and it's people who learn to speak French, and everybody in the group introduces themselves and says, "Hi, I'm Johnny. I'm a plumber." Well, you can say, "Hi, I'm Jenny, and I like to learn French," but that's sort of obvious because you're there. But you could say, "Hi, I'm Jenny, and I teach yoga." And now everyone in the group knows that you teach yoga. And it's not that you're trying to convince them to take a yoga class with you. It's just to make sure that people out there know what you do. Because somebody in that group will have a conversation with somebody else a week later, and that somebody else is like, maybe has a bad neck and they're looking for a yoga teacher, then the person in your group will be like, I know somebody who teaches yoga. And it's, you know, it's going to compound in this way. So,
and it's my friend from the French club.
right. Okay, so I don't know where we are in the animation. Right, friends talking to friends, mentioning that they know. Okay, where are we? Okay, so another thing to be very, very aware of is that telling everyone out there in every possible way that you teach yoga is not terribly effective, because most of the people just randomly out there are not going to be looking for a yoga teacher or taking yoga classes. So marketing can be much more effective when you target it, when you do things that reaches people that you have a strong suspicion are people who are interested in yoga. Okay. Example?
Right. As an example, if you're a master chef and you teach cooking, and you want to reach people who would like to take classes with you, you want to put your flyers or try to get the word out, for example, in a shop where people go to buy fancy cooking equipment or shop or cutlery and stuff like that. So the people that go to that shop, you already know that they're interested in cooking, they're interested in becoming a great cook. So they would probably be interested in taking a class with you. So it would be much more targeted to do it that way. Or if you train dogs, for example, which we need.
Oh, there are my dogs.
Yeah, they're your dogs. Sorry, I've lost my place. You can go on
So,
with the dogs.
Let's say you're a dog trainer. I know everyone's a yoga teacher, but we're just giving examples. You don't want to waste your time posting things on the internet and putting flyers in every shop in your neighborhood and all that kind of stuff. You want to focus on places where your ideal customers hang out. So for the dog trainer, it would be a pet food shop.
Right.
There you can put business cards on the counter, do that kind of stuff, or places where people walk their dogs.
So basically, if you train dogs, don't talk to people who don't have dogs or people who have cats.
Okay, so we have just a few minutes. Maybe this is
do we have? I thought we had 90 minutes.
Yeah, but people are going to want to ask questions and stuff.
Okay.
So
yes, I think we'll keep a space for people to ask the questions as well. So you have around 10 minutes, and then we'll take another 20 minutes to ask the question.
Okay. Yeah, we can keep going another 5 hours. There's a very important thing in marketing, but really in life in general. Do things that work and stop doing things that don't work. And so when it comes to marketing, it's very important that you have ways of measuring the effect of your marketing. So you could spend, I'm not sure where we are, you could spend a lot of time posting things on Facebook or putting flyers in shops, like we said, or various things. But you should have some way of measuring the effect of that. And the only really metric that matters, the only thing that you should really measure is when you see a new face in class, how did that person find you? Okay, so if a new person shows up in class and they said, yeah, I was talking to my friend who's in the French learning class and they told me you have a yoga teaching business, that works.
Mhm.
If you post things on Facebook and you ask a new student, hey, how did you find me? And they tell you Facebook, that works. But many of the things you will be trying will not work. And so you basically should evaluate what works. And then when you find something that works, then you spend more time and more money doing that thing. So let's say you're hanging flyers in a pet shop. If that works a little bit, then you can make a map of your city of all the pet shops and spend a whole day and go to all the pet shops, double down on the thing that works. Like here.
Right, but basically, don't do all these efforts and try not to find out which one works.
Right. So if you
know?
spend like hours and hours every day agonizing over the most perfect picture for Instagram and all these things, and after many months of that, you're realizing that actually no new clients are showing up because of Instagram.
Or maybe you don't know. You don't know if you don't ask them. So it's really important that you ask the clients. If everybody tells you they found you on Instagram, keep posting the pictures, because that's what's working for you.
Yeah. Okay. So getting noticed is one thing. Then to get people interested in marketing is another challenge. And there are certain ways that you can accomplish that. The first is, where are we? Scroll. Okay, so part of this puzzle
Yes,
is already solved
yeah.
when you target your marketing, right? When you somehow reach people who are going to a pet shop and you're a dog trainer, you know that they are already potentially interested because they're the kinds of people who have dogs.
But the question is why?
Right.
Why do these people come to you? And most of the time, it's not going to be because you are a certain way. It's because they are looking for a certain thing. So when you talk to people who come to you for the first time, ask them, why do you come to my classes? And it might be that they say, oh, because your classes are great for people who have back problems. Okay, so that's how you should market your classes.
So
classes for yoga, yoga classes for back problems.
A lot of people talk about the why. As a yoga teacher, you have to find the why. And many yoga teachers mistake this to be like, why am I teaching yoga? And you might have a beautiful story about how you came to find your practice and you had an injury and you overcame this and all that stuff. Nobody cares. Your potential clients do not care about that. They care about themselves and why they want to do yoga. And that's what you have to keep in mind when you do marketing.
So it's about their why.
Right. So it's about them. It's not about you. And maybe it sounds horrible, but that's just how it is. People care about themselves. And so they are asking themselves, what's in it for me? And that's the why that you have to answer. What beautiful animations. Okay.
But what do they want? What's in it for them? What problem do they have? And then how can you help them? Once you've discovered that, you can use that in your marketing material.
For example, let's say you have a specialized class, yoga for back pain. So it's a yoga class for back pain. You probably don't want to call it something esoteric like the Vamata yoga method or something, because when somebody sees a sign with that, they will not say anything.
What it is. Yeah.
But when you say yoga classes for back pain in your marketing, that will speak to them, to the students who have back pain. I mean, it maybe sounds silly, but a lot of yoga teachers do some very strange stuff with marketing, and because they forget about the students and what the students are thinking about and caring about.
Should we stop it for now and take time for questions? Otherwise, I think we're going to run out.
Yeah, we'll run out.
Yeah.
But it's going to get so interesting. Okay, no. So yeah, we're going to stop here. And
we could keep going, but
yeah.
If you want to take another 4-5 minutes, we are fine with it. It's just that we'll start losing audience in a while because it's getting too late in India. It's getting dinner time for India.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I think I want to tell them, because people are worried about online marketing and teaching online. So I'm going to skip ahead and find the slide I want to get to. Oh, this
But
would have
maybe
been
you
so
should get
interesting.
out of presentation mode and skip to the slide.
That's an idea. There's really just one thing I want to say about the internet. So the online world is very, very different from the in-person world. As an online yoga teacher, the world is your potential customer base. People all around India, all around the entire world, right? So when you're running a business that's on the ground, like there are a bunch of yoga studios in your town, you have some competition, but basically there's room for everyone usually, and you need to create yoga content and classes that appeal to a lot of people. You know, vinyasa flow or Ashtanga is already not that many people, but you have to do sort of vanilla or chocolate. In the online world, your competition is every other yoga teacher who's teaching online in the world, millions of people. And there is no way that you can really stand out if you are trying to go for the thing that is the most popular. If you're trying to be like everyone else, it's the opposite from what it is when you're on the ground. On the internet, you want to be unusual. You want to stand out and be the only person who offers a particular kind of yoga. And we call this niching down, and that's very important. So what you want to do is be the strangest yoga teacher in the world. Like, I don't know. We have a bunch of examples, but if somebody's looking for yoga for firefighters who are called Jenny, and that's you, and they search that on Google, they will find you. They will find you at the top of the search results, and you will get clients. And because the world is a very big place, niching down and doing things that are more special is the way that you are going to get found by more people, ironically. It's the opposite of what it is in the real world, where you need to appeal to kind of the most kinds of typical people in your neighborhood, because there aren't that many people in your neighborhood. So that's really a very, very important thing that I just wanted to put out there. And now we'll stop.
Thank you very much, everybody, for sticking with us so long.
Although I could see in the chat box that people want you to continue, but we have to stick by the time. So friends, entrepreneur is not a profession, it's a journey. And Alex, the Ubindi team, has actually shared with us the real-time challenges and its solutions. Most of us, the small business or the big business, in the initial journey, we spend a lot of time. I'll say we fitted away a lot of money and time in the wrong deals and acts. And the way they have presented the entire information, I think it is worth learning. I have myself attended their program on Udemy, and tomorrow 8 a.m. you will get all the details about their program on your inbox itself. If we are on your spam side, please bring us to your primary inbox so that you can see more details about Ubindi and their program on Udemy, which is shared with you over the mail. Moving ahead, friends, now we'll take the questions. If you have any questions, please write it in the chat box or in the Q&A section where we can take the questions.
I should look at the chat. Where is it? There it is. Right.
We have few questions in between. Yes. How to approach students who don't revert even after sharing all information?
My personal opinion is you stop approaching them. I mean, you know, it's communication and educating people about what you offer. And once somebody has that information, they decide if they're interested or not. And if they're not interested, you will have a very hard time convincing that they should be interested. It's similar to dating. You know, if you are feeling amorous towards someone,
but they're not
interested in you, maybe they're homosexual or something, you're not going to convince them. And it's similar with marketing. And so
you can only do your best efforts to give the information about what you offer and give people a good introductory offer, give them a good experience. But if they're not coming back or if they're not interested, then it's better for you to move on, I think.
I completely agree with Alex and his answer, because then you are going behind the wrong person.
Exactly. Yeah.
You should find a new person and start working on that person. You never know, this one door has closed for you, but there are many more opportunities for you to work upon. We have a question from Mansi, and she's asking, can you explain a little bit in detail about donation pricing?
yes, so we're not as familiar with India, but in the United States and in Europe, it's very popular for yoga teachers and even studios to have donation-based pricing. So people pay what they want. And in our experience, so on Ubindi, we have maybe around 1,000 teachers using Ubindi. The most successful teacher today is using all donation-based classes. People pay whatever they want. And he's making more money than any other teacher on Ubindi because his students are very loyal. They love him. He's a man in Atlanta. And they're paying, so on Ubindi, you set a suggested amount, but then people can pay whatever they want, even zero. But that suggested amount kind of guides the mind of the clients to maybe try to pay this suggested amount. And this man has many clients who pay double the suggested amount. They love him, and so he's earning.
But you're also building community when you're doing that, because you're basically telling your students, okay, if it's the end of the month and you can't pay very much, I trust you, pay me what you can. And then the person, you're kind of putting goodwill out. So the person will feel that for another class, next time they come, if they can, they'll pay more, So maybe it's not as reliable because it will go up and down a little bit, but you are building community that way, I think. And I know that this teacher thinks very strongly about that.
And everyone's different. There are many different kinds of yoga teachers. In general, again, yoga teachers are so different from a shop. If I go in a shop and the shop says, pay whatever you want for this bar of chocolate, I will pay very little, obviously. But in yoga, you have this relationship with people who generally are interested in you personally and in spiritual development and all these things. It's very different. So in our experience, people do not take advantage of this, and it's a great way to understand who can pay more because maybe they have a really good job and they're more affluent, and who doesn't. Many teachers are surprised that when they turn on donation-based pricing, they earn as much or even more than they did when they charged a fixed price. It's very interesting.
I completely agree, Alex, that it differs from person to person and their setup, the kind of community they are dealing with. So they should use the approach that fits with their community. Yes. And the community is all about connection. So how do you connect with your community, and then how community want to reciprocate with your energy, that completely matters. And it differs from one teacher to another. So I completely agree. And we have a next question from Michael, and they're asking, if I am new in the yoga market, let's say 2 years, should my prices be lower just because of the reason I'm not a senior teacher?
Well, if you feel like you're not as good or as senior as a real guru, a master who's been starting his own yoga lineage and stuff, yes. But there are many teachers out there who have less than 2 years experience, especially in the United States. Yoga is many different things, and there are many yoga teachers who are doing things that maybe you in India would not even call yoga, and they're charging lots of money. It really depends on how confident you feel and what the reaction is from the people that you approach. In general, my guess is that you are, just from the question, you are struggling with some of these doubts and fears and imposter syndrome and these things, and you are probably underpricing yourself.
But there's something, I mean, you have to set the expectation of your clients, and you have to set the expectation for yourself as well, I think. So if you're charging very little, maybe you will always feel a little bit like you're not quite there. But if you charge a good price, then it will put you in a different mindset where you have to give a great service, you know, and it doesn't
It will
matter.
make you a better teacher.
It doesn't matter if you need 2 years is not that new. You've
No.
been, you know, if you've been doing this and you considering it as, you know, your vocation, your job, then you're very serious about it. I think you should charge just a regular rate, maybe give people an introductory offer or, you know, a free class now and then. But I think you should set expectations for yourself and not charge a lot less than other teachers because you're newer, you know.
I once again agree, and this is not a geographic based question. This question most of the yoga teachers dealt with, that what should be their price and how much new or senior or junior they are. So I completely agree, and very well put through that. How much time you are devoting to your classes, that also depends. So if it's your primary job, then you should be charging accordingly. And if it's your vocational, and you know you are in parallel with some other profession also, then you should charge it accordingly. So I completely agree with Ubindi team on this. Now we have a next question with Ayushi, and she's asking, as Indian teacher, do we or how do we differentiate pricing for Indian students, NRIs, foreign students? Any insights on that?
This is very difficult because the average income in India is much less than the average income in Switzerland, for example, right? So also there are different currencies involved. So maybe you have a website where all the prices are in Indian rupees and you're trying to attract clients in the United States who see a big number because the rupee is a small value compared to $1. And so it's quite complicated. There are many teachers who are trying to show different prices to different clients. If you're a little bit tech savvy, you can do that by detecting where somebody is visiting your website and showing them dollars or rupees and, you know, having different prices. You have to be careful because people can find out that there's like a cheap alternative if they sort of hide where they come from and stuff like that. It's a tricky question and we don't have a simple answer. So my short answer is I don't really know.
I think, Ayushi, from an Indian background, I will just add on this that it also depends, especially with the NRIs, that how much your gateway is charging a fee with you. Because usually in Indian, when you compare Indian fee and NRI fee, there is a translation cost also that depends. And then there is a gateway tax also that depends. So in all this, you burn a lot of money. So just make your fee accordingly. You know, whatever you are charging, charge accordingly. Our next question for Alex is how to manage and grow self-personal class online or offline, or maybe own an online group class where I have 4 yoga instructors under me. So that person is asking how they can manage or grow their online yoga studio because he might have 4 yoga instructors working under them.
So it's similar to how to manage and grow your business as a single person, but just more complicated. You can try to sort of establish this brand as a school and ignore the individual teachers, but have more of a like, this is the philosophy and this is the method and this is etc. from the school. Or you can sort of act like a group of teachers that are banding together as friends and a tribe, and each teacher has their own kind of brand, their own style, their own personality.
So you highlight each teacher's
it really
speciality.
depends. it's so the answer to this is infinite, because it really depends on what you're trying to do and how big you want to grow. If it's 4 teachers who are friends, or it's 4 teachers to start with, but you want to take over the world with like an army of 1,000 teachers who will all teach the same method, kind of thing, it's a very different situation.
Completely agree, Alex. And in fact, Gajendra, I would say that the Ubindi team has already shared a lot of tools and techniques with you. Now you have to pick and drop what works with you and fix in your business setup and see how it works and grows your business. Because all the tools and techniques differ from one person to another, how they use it, what content they have, what content they want to share with their team, even what pricing they have for their each class. So it really
Yeah.
depends that how do you want to put across your yoga center to your community.
Mm.
It goes
Uh,
back to what you're saying about comparing yourself. It's so we are not yoga teachers, but we are a business, and every business has this thing where they look at others and they think, oh, that's working for them, I will try the same thing. And it's usually not a good idea, because we're all different. And especially if you're a teacher as an individual, you're very different from all the other teachers. Maybe you don't realize it, but everyone is very, very unique.
yes.
Yeah.
I agree with you because even yoga and Ayurveda says, friends, that every person, every individual is different. So making it that one size fits all, no, not necessary. So they have given you the tools and techniques, and it's up to you. How do you want to use it? So friends, I believe our teachers in these 2 days summit has shared all the tools and techniques which you can use at your end to create phenomenal results in your own yoga class. Okay, we have a question from Veronica. I'm an Indian and live in USA and teach online classes, but I'm not sure who's my target audience. With your wisdom, should the target audience be USA or people in India?
If you are open to either, then you should try both and see which one works better. And then stop doing the one that doesn't work so well and concentrate on the one that does. So you can create 2 different websites. Like, this comes back to the question about Indian teachers trying to attract students from abroad. You might try keeping them completely separate, right? Having 2 different
Products, almost,
products,
yeah.
2 different websites, 2 different social media platforms, and see which one works better, and maybe which one you enjoy more, because the people in India and the people in the United States are very different kinds of clients too. So you will have to adapt your teaching as well.
I completely agree with once again with you because it might double your task, but in the beginning, it will give you a lot of clarity and it will support your work that you don't go in the wrong direction. In fact, you'll start building the content for the right audience way before. So I completely